Make sure this season to check out Walter's self-poured beer wall, which includes 24 different items, including Fireside Chat, Vienna Lager, and Green City IPA. Visit waltersdc.com for more information.
We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Here's the wide, and the pitch to Gallo, swung on, hit high in the air to deep right field. Reynolds going back, way back, looking up, going, and gone. Goodbye. That one is in and out of the second deck, and section 239 in right field. Bang! Zoom goes Joey Gallo. His first hit in a Nationals uniform is a solo home run off of Mitch Keller to get the Nationals on the board here in the bottom of the second inning. It's now Pittsburgh 2 and Washington 1.
Keller coming set at the letters. He fires. Swinging a ground ball. Third base side. Fair. Past the diving third baseman Hayes down the line. Garcia's going to score. The throw towards second. The tag attempt by Triolo. Safe is the call. It's an RBI double for Ildemaro Vargas. And the Nationals get that run back. It's now the Nationals 5 and the Pirates 3.
Finnegan in the belt. The 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss. He struck him out with a slider. And bang, zoom, a Curly W's in the books. The first win at home in 2024 for the Nationals as Kyle Finnegan comes on, strikes out 2 in the 9th inning, gets around the error, and the Nationals get a win for Trevor Williams as they defeat the Pirates to even this series.
And welcome to Nats Chat for Thursday, April 4th. 2024, along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman, who is at Nationals Park. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. The Washington, D.C. area, as you surely know, has been blasted by rain over the last 3 days. And yet, somehow, someway, the first 2 games of the Nats' 3-game series against the Pittsburgh Pirates at Nationals Park have happened as scheduled with 0 rain delays. And we now have a Nats win in a game in this series to discuss. A 5-3 win over the Pirates at Nationals Park on Wednesday evening to get to 2-3 in this regular season. This episode of Nats Chat is brought to us by the Fred Nats, the National Single-A affiliate in Northern Virginia. Their opening weekend begins this Friday night. See the future stars of the Washington Nationals right down the road in Fredericksburg. Tickets start at just $10. Buy yours now at frednats.com/tickets. The Nats on Wednesday evening scored early, 4 runs in the bottom of the second. The Nats on Wednesday evening got a combined 8 hits from Joey Gallo, Luis Garcia Jr., and C.J. Abrams. Trevor Williams, a.k.a. the stopper, he gave the Nats their best outing from a starting pitcher so far this regular season. And Hunter Harvey and Kyle Finnegan bounced back from their bad weekends. And yes, while it did rain some during the game, no rain delays. Mark, Wednesday evening turned into a nice evening for the Nats.
Al, this was a win all across the board. The first 6:45 start as the Nationals try to move things up a little bit here this season with their night games. The timing worked out perfectly. You had up and down the East Coast teams waiting around all day through rain delays, 5-hour rain delays, 7-hour rain delays to try to play. It turned out the Nats had the exact right time to start the game and to finish it because it was starting to come down there towards the end in the ninth. So between the good timing and look, we've crushed them for their rain fiascos over the years. They got this one exactly right. They got the quality pitching performance they needed. They got a home run out of Joey Gallo. They got 3 doubles, from Luis Garcia. They got great bullpen work, like you just said. And we're taping this podcast at 10:30 p.m., which is unprecedented for us off a night game. So I think this is a win for everybody across the board.
We will take all of those things that you just outlined right there. I guess we should start with the Nats offense. This to me was a nice offensive game. Not a dominant offensive game, but this was a nice offensive game. 5 runs, 10 hits, 2 walks, 4 for 13 with runners in scoring position. I know that those aren't like dominant offensive numbers, but the Nats in this game, at least to me, never felt lifeless offensively as they have too often so far this season. And I guess a big part of that was scoring early. 4 runs in the bottom of the second. I know it's cliche to say this, but that does set a tone, does it not? That gives you a feeling of, an offensive pulse. And too often so far this season, you have not felt that offensive pulse early in a game. And so you get that, and you end up with a game that ends up being, I think, a very respectable offensive game. Joey Gallo, welcome to the season. 3 hits in this game. Nat starting first baseman and cleanup batter, 3 for 4 with a solo homer, a double, and a single. And how about that homer? I mean, if you don't know much about Joey Gallo, I feel like you learn basically what you need to know from this game. He's a classic 3 true outcome batter, right? Homers, walks, strikeouts. And this homer was some shot. In that 4-run second, a leadoff homer on a bomb to right field to cut the Nats deficit to 2-1. 447 feet per StatCast, his first regular season hit with the Nats. And did you enjoy the light show at Nationals Park off the Joey Gallo homer? That was entertaining to watch, I thought.
Oh, yeah. So for those who don't know, they've got brand new LED lights in the stadium that they can turn different colors, flash on and off whenever they want. They did it on the home run. They did it at the end of the game. The whole stadium turned red when Kyle Finnegan recorded the last out. That kind of caught some of us off guard a little bit. It's a new day here at Nationals Park. I'll get to Gallo in a second, but what you were saying about scoring early, I think this needs to be underscored here. Entering this game, they had played 36 innings this season. They had only held a lead at the end of 3 of those 36 innings. Finally, in this game, they take the lead in the second inning and they lead the rest of the way. It makes such a difference when you're playing out in front instead of trying to play catch up. And I think that set the tone for everything. And so I think that was really important that they got that done the first time through the order. They weren't forcing themselves to have to wait until later in the game to try to make up for lost ground. So good on them for getting going, and good on Joey Gallo for getting the ball rolling with that first home run. Look, he was 0 for 12, 6 strikeouts. He knew he had not been up to snuff so far. He had a bad spring. He didn't hit any homers in spring. He only had 4 hits the entire spring. But it does show you that he has this ability that all he's got to do is connect once like that, and you know the moment it left the bat that this wasn't just a home run, it was a no-doubt home run. And it was like this sigh of relief for him and for the rest of the guys in the dugout. And I don't think it's a coincidence that they went on to have such a great offensive inning after he did that with the leadoff home run. So that set the tone. I don't know what this guy's going to do over the course of a whole season or 4 months or however long he's here, but that at bat right there, that's why they got him, for the ability to do that and change a game with some massive power.
It's funny with Joey Gallo, he just may be the most likely Nat to have a 30-homer season this season. He also just may be the Nat who has the capability of being the single worst batter on the lineup this season, at least in terms of regular players. It is that all or nothing thing, but the guy can homer. You look at the 2017 through 2023 regular seasons, Joey Gallo ranked number 3 among all qualified batters in the majors in at-bats per home run, 13.16. So he brings something to the table that too few Nats have brought to the table in recent years, and that is the true ability to hit the home run. And we saw that, man. That was some shot on Wednesday evening. Really nice to see that. Really nice to see Luis Garcia Jr. have a big game, or should I say Luis Two Bags. He is an Nats starting second baseman and number 8 batter, 3 for 4 with an RBI double and 2 other doubles, a 3-double game for Luis Garcia Jr., who, yes, does now want to go by Garcia Jr. He and the Nats 4-run second had a 1-out opposite field RBI double off the left field warning track to tie the game at 2. Bottom of the 4th, a leadoff double to the right field corner. Now, he did then get tagged out at third base in attempting to advance on what sure looked like a pretty bad bunt by Ildemaro Vargas. So I don't know to what degree you blame Garcia for that, but, that's never a good thing when you make it out like that at third base. But Garcia in the Nats 1-run 6th, a 1-out first pitch, opposite field double to left field. Good for Luis Garcia Jr. with those 3 doubles.
Just good, solid contact from him. And that's what they want. They know he can put the bat on the ball. It's just picking the right pitch to do it with and then hitting it hard. You have 2 opposite field doubles, and then he pulled the other one. And, another guy who, it's in there. He has the ability. It's just a matter of consistency and plate discipline. And like I said, picking the right pitch to do that with. As far as it getting thrown at third base, I put that on Vargas. That was a really bad bunt right in front of the plate. Henry Davis, the Pirates catcher, barely had to move to pick it up and throw him out. And I think it's probably asking for too much in that situation for the runner to stop on a dime and go back to second base. I think he had no choice but to try to run it out. Didn't really have much of a chance to beat it out. So I'm not faulting him for that one. I thought it was a really good game for Luis all around. And, power from this team. It's not always home runs, doubles. This team hit doubles in this game. That's a nice thing to see because you do that, you have the ability to put together bigger innings and don't need, 3 hits just to score 1 run. Extra bases provide runs in bunches and on fewer hits, and that was very nice to see in this case.
Yeah, it was interesting on the MASN telecast. Kevin Franzen pretty much faulted Garcia for that out at third base, but Ryan Zimmerman, who was in there for most, if not all, of the broadcast on Wednesday evening, he actually defended Garcia, so it was a good back and forth between Franzen and Zimmerman.
Fredericksburg Nationals. When it comes to fun, we hit a home run.
Head to opening weekend with the Fred Nats. See the future stars of the Washington Nationals right down the road in Fredericksburg. Kick things off on Friday with a spectacular postgame fireworks show presented by Kevin's Roofing and Attic Insulation. Plus, all fans will find a rally towel at their seats, courtesy of Ray's Siding Company. The fun continues on Saturday with another giveaway. Keep the Fred Nats schedule close all season long with a magnet schedule presented by Davis Electric. Close out the weekend on Sunday with a Fred Nats hockey jersey giveaway, courtesy of Virginia Credit Union. Don't forget to customize it with your name and number at the team store. Tickets start at just $10. Buy yours now at frednats.com/tickets.
When it comes to fun, we hit a home run.
Football season may be over, but the action on the floor is heating up. Whether it's tournament season or the fight for playoff home court, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of year. Get in on the excitement with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000 with NBA, NHL, and college basketball entries today on Prize Picks. Prize Picks even offers injury insurance so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. This week on Prize Picks, I'm selecting Giannis Antetokounmpo for more than 32.5 points and LeBron James for more than 8.5 assists. Download the app today and use code BLUEWIRE for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code BLUEWIRE on the Prize Picks app for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with Prize Picks. We're driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/BlueWire. Just go to Indeed.com/BlueWire right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/BlueWire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Here's C.J. Abrams. Fouled out to the third baseman his only time up. First pitch swung on, line to right. That's a base hit. Lipscomb scores from third. Rounding third, Garcia coming home. Throw to the plate offline. Abrams racing for second. Throw there not in time. Over at third base is Robles. It is a single and 2 runs batted in for Abrams. He takes second on the throw. And the Nationals have themselves a big inning. They've scored 4 times here in the bottom of the second inning. It's now the Nationals 4 and the Pirates 2.
CJ Abrams is having a nice, consistent start to this season. In game 1, he didn't do much, but since then, it feels like every game he does something offensively. And sure enough, Wednesday evening, starting shortstop, number 1 batter, 2 for 4, a 2-run single, and another single. That 4-run second, CJ Abrams, a 1-out first pitch, bases loaded, 2-run single to right field for a 4-2 Nats lead. And he in the bottom of the 6th had a 1-out single into right field. One of the things we talked about as last season went on, as Abrams was doing better, was this is great, but it is over a pretty condensed period of time. Is this just a nice month or two, or is this now who he is? It's early, we get that, but he seems to be picking up where he left off last August and September. Like, this is the Abrams we saw as last season went on. This is not the Abrams who we saw last, say, April, May, and June.
Yeah, I agree. I was curious all along to see, can he just pick up where he left off at the end of the season? So far, so good. He had the one great game in Cincinnati with the walks, the steals, the triple. And as long as he's doing something productive every night, whatever that is, and because he can do it in a lot of different ways. He can hit for power. He can, as we saw, actually be patient and draw walks. He can just put the ball in play and deliver. This was a clutch hit. That's a big 2-run single there because that completed the rally. It turned a decent inning into a great inning, scoring 4 runs. So that's, I think, one of the things they haven't always been great at here. They have a chance for like the big inning, and sometimes they're just one more hit away from it and they haven't been able to do it. So I thought that was a really key at bat in the course of this game. But he's delivering for them consistently, at least through 5 games so far. And I came into the season thinking to myself, CJ Abrams is probably the best player on the team right now. And so far, I think he's lived up to it.
And then a few negatives with Nats position players in this game. So Lane Thomas is off to a rough start to this regular season. 0 for 4 with a strikeout on Wednesday evening. He's so far batting average of 100, on base percentage 174, slugging percentage of 100. So obviously not the start that he wants. And then there's what happened with Victor Robles in this game, hurting his left hamstring. So on that Abrams 2-run single, you had Robles advancing to third, but pulling up lame. And, we don't know exactly the severity of this injury, but it did not look good. He left the game immediately, was replaced by Ildemaro Vargas. And in your post-game exchange with Davey Martinez, it does sound like an injured list stint is likely for Robles.
Vic hurt his left hammy. Yeah, he's going to get an MRI tomorrow, so we'll know more tomorrow.
Think there's a chance he could avoid the IL?
Because of what he does. I don't want to assume anything, but he said he felt it pretty good. So we'll see what the MRI says tomorrow, and then we'll go from there.
Maybe in the middle of the summer when it's warmer, you might feel a little different. But early in the year, it's cold, it's rainy. I don't think you want to push that. We saw how much time he missed last year with what looked like a benign back injury at the start and turned out to be much more severe than that. They'll see what the MRI says, but Vic had the leg wrapped up in the clubhouse post game. Just the way he grabbed it, everything else made you think it's probably something that's going to sideline him for a little bit of time. It's too bad because I thought he was off to a really good start. We talked about this the other day. 5 plate appearances, 3 walks. I mean, good for him. He is doing what they've asked him to do. And I genuinely feel bad for the guy because after missing all the time last year and now gets off to a good start this year and now gets hurt again and may have to miss more time. And we know that the window of opportunity for him here is shrinking before James Wood and Dylan Cruz arrive and take his spot from him. I know in his mind, he was really hoping to get off to a good start here. And, whether that means that another team would be interested in him or he could hold on to the job here even longer, whatever that case would be, good play from him was going to help his cause a lot. And so you hope he's not out for too long. But my sense is that they're not going to take a chance on that. And unless the MRI just comes back totally clean, which I don't expect it will, I think they'll probably place him on the IL on Thursday.
And another walk on Wednesday evening. I mean, that was another impressive walk by him. He in that 4-run second, a 1-out 7-pitch walk. So he is showing improved plate discipline. I want to say this about Vargas. He did have the bad bunt, but he did also have an RBI double. So he comes off the bench. He in the Nats, a 1-run 6th inning, had a 1-out opposite field RBI double into left field for a 5-3 Nats lead. And then another negative that you actually can spin in a positive way. So Trey Lipscomb on Wednesday evening, starting third baseman, number 7 batter, 0 for 3. He committed a throwing error. Top of the 9th, 1 out in the middle of a steady rain, committed a throwing error for the Nats' first error of this regular season. So That's pretty impressive. You know, if you think about the Nats from a standpoint of batting, starting pitching, relief pitching, defense, at least coming into this game, I think the best out of those things had been the defense. And I know errors are not a great measure of defense, but that you don't make your first error until game number 5, that's pretty good.
In the 9th inning of game number 5. So, yeah. Now, he's bounced a few throws over there and been bailed out by Joey Gallo. So I wonder if in the back of his mind, he was compensating for that, thinking, don't bounce it, because he airmailed this one way beyond Gallo's reach. And Gallo has a significant reach with his frame and his arms. So you hope it's not something that gets into Trey Lipscomb's head and becomes a bigger issue. You know, this guy was a Gold Glover in the minor leagues at third base last year. I don't think this is going to be a problem for him. And the conditions were not great out there, obviously. So you hope that's just a blip for him. But yeah, the defense has been solid all around. I want to mention here, just to go back to the Robles injury and Vargas replacing him, because Jesse Winker was still not feeling 100%. He was sick the other day. He was around and maybe would have been available if they absolutely needed him. But because he wasn't, they had to put Vargas in left field to finish out really the majority of this game. And so that's another reason that I would imagine that going into Thursday, unless they're confident that Robles is going to be fine soon, they're going to need to get another outfielder here. And my hunch, I know people are going to wonder, you know, could we be seeing James Wood already? You never say never, but I think right now they just need a solid guy who can play the outfield, play center field, and come off the bench. And to me, that's Jacob Young most likely, or maybe Alex Call, both guys who've done that before. They don't need an everyday player yet. They've kind of shown that they're playing Rosario and Winker when he is healthy. So I could see a Jacob Young coming in and taking the Robles spot in the short term and let James Wood, who is off to a good start at Rochester, give him some more time just to really get comfortable there before they make that obviously very big move that's coming eventually.
Let's also say this. April 13th has not yet arrived. April 13th is the service time date for this year. So if you're going to really go hard on promoting James Wood this early, just be mindful of that. We're not that far away from April 13th. So even with the new rules, it still would probably make sense to wait until then to do something like that. Assuming Robles goes on an injured list, do you think we'll see the thing that we thought we would see but have yet to see, Joey Gallo in left field? Do you think we'll see that, or is that just taboo at this point?
I think they don't want to throw everything out of whack for that. You know, they could have done it in this game when that all happened. The problem is then Joey Meneses, your DH, becomes your first baseman and you lose the DH for the rest of the game. So that's the downside of having them both in the lineup like that. My guess is they've decided Joey Gallo, for better or worse, is going to be their first baseman. He has played very well at first base, and I think there is value in that. I think they're going to stick with that. And, you know, as long as Winker is okay, it seems like they're very comfortable with a Winker, Rosario, left field, center field, and then somebody else occasionally filling in center field. And that's why I kind of wonder if Jacob Young might make sense, because he sort of fits the Victor Robles role that Victor had been in here so far.
What's so funny about the Gallo thing is that Davey Martinez, during his postgame presser on Wednesday night, in talking up Gallo's offensive performance, referenced his Gold Glove status, which has come as a left fielder. So Davey himself brought that up unsolicited. But yeah, the team refuses to play the guy in left field. It's pretty funny. You and I joked either on the show or off the show, maybe both, I don't know, that watch it be Trevor Williams who gives the Nats their best outing from a starting pitcher first time through the rotation this regular season. And sure enough, that is exactly what ended up happening. Trevor Williams, who was the Nats' worst starting pitcher last season, there really is no debating that. He was worse than Patrick Corbin was. He, on Wednesday evening, gave the Nats their best start so far this regular season. I give the guy credit. 2 runs in 5 1/3 innings. This was the Trevor Williams who we saw early last season before his season fell apart. 2 runs in 5 1/3 innings, 5 strikeouts versus 2 walks. Gave up just 3 hits, which were comprised of a double and 2 singles. He threw 91 pitches, 53 strikes versus 38 balls. No, he was not great, but he was better than any other Nats starting pitcher had been so far here. The 2 runs came in the top of the second, which could have been a lot worse than it was. But, you know, he did give up 2 runs in the inning. But he gave up a leadoff double by Jack Sawinski to right field, then issued back-to-back walks of Andrew McCutchen and Rowdy Tellez to load the bases with no outs. And I don't think there was a Nats fan on the planet who wasn't thinking, oh boy, here we go again with Trevor Williams. He did then record back-to-back outs, but then gave up a 2-out, bases-loaded 2-run single by the ex-Nat Michael A. Taylor on a really well-hit grounder that got by C.J. Abrams and went into left field. Look, if you get this every time out from Trevor Williams, you take it and run with it. The problem is you probably won't get this every time, but for at least this game, he gave you exactly what you want, 2 runs in 5 1/3.
What I liked about it was, he got into trouble there in the second, but he got out of it, didn't let it blow up on him too much, and then was great the rest of the way. He retired 11 of the last 12 batters he faced. Think about last season. It was the exact opposite for him. He might look good for 2-3 innings, and then it would unravel on him. And by the 5th inning, the pitch count's super high and he can't even get through that. He was actually pitching so efficiently there towards the end. He gets through the 5th inning on 88 pitches. And I figured, well, that's got to be it for him. No, Davey let him come back out, face one more batter in the 6th. He struck out Key Brian Hayes. And then they went to the bullpen after that as the lefty came up. So finishing strong is not what we saw from Trevor Williams last year. The fact he had that in his first start here was very nice to see. I don't know if that's something you can expect to see on a regular basis from him, but I think it's really important. Like, they know who he is. He is their 5th starter, and he's probably their short-term 5th starter. We talked about it a few weeks ago that Jackson Rutledge, I think they're going to feel like if he shows what he can do at AAA, he's going to get called up here at some point. We know Cade Cavalli should be ready in June to return from his injury. As long as the other guys in the rotation stay healthy, I don't think there's a lot of reason to believe that Trevor Williams is going to stick in the rotation long term. So until then, what do you need to do if you're him? Just give him a chance. Don't let a start blow up on you. Give him 5 innings. Keep the team in the game. That's exactly what they need from him, and that's what he gave them in this game. So it was a very nice tone setter, I think, for him personally and for a rotation that, as we noted, has not been very good the first time through. I wouldn't have guessed that he'd have the best start out of the 5. I don't think you would have either. That's more of an indictment of the others maybe than a compliment to him, but he did what he's supposed to do, and right now that's all you can ask for.
And the Nats bullpen, which had not been good so far, ended up being good on Wednesday evening. 4 Nats relievers combined to allow 1 run in 3 2/3 innings with 8 strikeouts. And I think that that's the key aspect of all of this. 8 strikeouts. Now, Robert Garcia, who actually probably had been the Nats' best reliever, did struggle in this game. He faced 3 batters, got just 1 out, came into the game top of the 6th, bases empty, 1 out. He, to the first batter he faced, gave up a 1-out solo homer by Jack Suwinski to right field to cut the Nats' lead to 4-3. And Garcia issued a 2-out walk of Rowdy Tellez despite having had him down in the count 0-2. Jordan Weems faced 3 batters, got 2 outs, and then came redemption time. The Nats' top 2 relievers, 2 guys who struggled over the weekend, Hunter Harvey and Kyle Finnegan, they came through. Hunter Harvey was awesome. This is exactly the Hunter Harvey I want to see. This is exactly the Hunter Harvey who I talked about wanting to see off his struggles in the 7-6 win at the Cincinnati Reds this past Saturday. Harvey on Wednesday evening, 1 2/3 perfect innings with 4 strikeouts. Now, it's interesting. His velocity actually was not at its best in this outing. It was actually a tick down, and yet still, he faced 5 batters. He retired all of them, and he generated 4 strikeouts. Awesome stuff from Harvey. And then Kyle Finnegan, a scoreless, hitless, walkless top of the 9th with 2 strikeouts for the save. The only blemish was that throwing error from Trey Lipscomb. So terrific to see Harvey and Finnegan do as they did.
Yeah, look, I noticed the same thing with Harvey. The velocity was just down low. I mean, he's still throwing 98. It's not like he's really easing off the gas pedal at all. But just that little bit, if that led to some better command, then great. He was excited to be able to go more than 1 inning, which, April 3rd, you're kind of feeling like, you really want to push that envelope yet? But he keeps talking about he feels healthy for the first time in his career. He knows what he needs to do to keep his body in good shape. He made it through the majority of last season healthy. The fact that he's able to do it and that Davey trusts him to do it here early in the season, I think is a great sign. He was really pleased with how that went. And Finnegan, important bounce backs. You don't have that like any lingering worries about, something might go wrong with him. He went back to the fastball, number 1, to get outs, but also he broke out what I believe for the first time in a big league game is his new sweeper. He had thrown a slider at times in the past, didn't really love it. I talked to him about this in spring training. His concern was that everything he threw was hard. Fastball, splitter that comes in 90 miles an hour, and then a high 80s slider. And I think he wanted something a little more change of pace and worked this winter on a sweeper. So it's like a slider / curveball that just comes in a little slower in the low to mid 80s. And he broke it out in this game, including for the last strike of Michael A. Taylor. He tried it in spring training. He wasn't sure how it was going to be. I don't think he had used it yet in any of his previous appearances since the season started. If he can have any faith at all to throw that, just keep hitters timing off just a little bit. Remember, he got beat on the splitters in the game in Cincinnati. So that's now a different pitch for hitters to have to consider. I think that's big for him and a big growth for him as a closer.
The sweeper has gained in popularity in recent years. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, this is the new fad around baseball. Every, 5-10 years or something that takes off, and the sweeper is the thing. And for those who don't know what that is, basically a slider is a hard breaking ball that breaks to the side. A curveball is a slower breaking ball that breaks down. A sweeper is kind of in between the two. It's going to be thrown at more of a curveball speed, but break more like a slider horizontally as opposed to vertically. So different guys have different reasons for wanting to throw it. But like I said, in Finnegan's case, he didn't really love his slider. It was clearly his third best pitch, and he still threw it hard. So the idea is take something off, make the hitter not just have to face a pitch that's moving, but one that's coming in slower than your other stuff. And so I think that was the thought process behind it. Tried it out in spring training, liked it, but I was glad to see him use it in a safe situation here in a big league game, and it seems to have worked.
Hey, Al Galdi here for Window Nation. Baseball season finally is here. Spring finally is here. And that means a great offer from Window Nation for listeners of the Nats Chat podcast. If your windows are cracked or leaking and or won't open or stay open, now is the time to call Window Nation, which is offering the following deal to listeners of the Nats Chat podcast. 2 free windows for every 2 windows that you buy, plus 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 24 months. Call 866-90NATION or visit windownation.com and make sure that you tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. Upgrade the look, feel, and value of your home with great new Window Nation windows. Window Nation is the best, and take advantage of the offer. 2 free windows for every 2 windows that you buy, plus 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 24 months. 866-90NATION or windownation.com. That's 866-90NATION or windownation.com. And make sure that you tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast.
Tim Shover's here to tell you about Game Time. The Phillies are in town this weekend. Make sure to check out Game Time. What's great about the app is you can see the actual view of all the seats in Nationals Park, and it has the lowest price guaranteed. One feature that's top-notch is Game Time's ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code NATSCHAT for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code NATSCHAT for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
Whether you're a world-class athlete or a podcaster like me, we all understand the importance of mental and physical well-being and proper recovery for top-notch performance. That's why I'm excited that Unified Healing is sponsoring this podcast. Unified Healing is a new and super innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement System, or EE System. If you haven't heard of the EE System, you'll want to listen up. This technology promotes wellness, deep relaxation, purification, and rejuvenation. In hundreds of locations across the globe, access to a center is easy and affordable. Interested in experiencing the EE System technology for yourself? Go to unifiedhealing.com/bluewire to learn more and find a center near you. That's unifydhealing.com/bluewire. No material or testimonials on the Unified Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including EE System.
There goes the runner. Here comes the pitch. Check swing, the ball running in. Strike 3, says the home plate umpire Malinsky. Reynolds has pointed to the third base umpire saying, ask him. But Malinsky said, you went. Derek Shelton's going to come in, and Shelton's saying, you should ask him. And Malinsky's saying, you go back to the dugout, and now you're gone. The Pirates manager has been tossed out of the game. And Shelton is pointing toward the third base umpire saying that should be his call, not yours. And Mike Malinsky tossed him out of the game.
So game 3 of this series against the Pirates is on Thursday afternoon at 4:05. Josiah Gray will be the Nats starting pitcher. This, of course, begins the second go-round for the Nats rotation in this regular season. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what Davey Martinez does with the bullpen. He's been aggressive with the pen so far, in part because the starters have not been very good, but also in part because the Nats have had these off days. Nats don't have another off day now until Thursday, April 11th. So what started on Wednesday was a stretch of 8 games in 8 days. And, if there are no rainouts, you don't have another off day coming for a week here. So you can't be quite as aggressive as you have been, at least in theory, with your bullpen. And so going to need some length from these starters. You don't have to go 8 innings, but, 6 would be nice one of these days. And I don't know that Davey's going to be able to do the thing that he has been doing in most of these games, which is use like 3-4 relievers. I mean, game in, game out, that's pretty much what we have been seeing so far.
Right. So, 6 innings from Josiah Gray would do wonders, I think. I imagine Hunter Harvey will be down after going 5 outs in this one. Finnegan probably is okay to come back again. But, you have Derek Law, you have Dylan Floro. Maybe Tanner Rainey's not the guy for a big spot. But I do think they have the options. If the guys pitch to the way that they have in the past and the way they're capable of, I think Davey can mix and match the way he would like to and not have to rely so much on the big guys at the back end. But it's up to, like you said, the starters getting deep enough that you can only use, say, 2 or 3 relievers in a given game. And then it's also up to not just Harvey and Finnegan, but the others, Floro, Rainey, Law, Barnes, and Weems, who was good in this game as well, to show that they can be relied on in big spots. And if that all comes together, they've got the makings of a really good bullpen, but we know it's fragile. It doesn't take much for the house of cards to fall apart. And that can be a reflection both of the way the relievers perform, but also, as you point out, the way the starters go. If they aren't doing their job, it's putting added stress on the relievers.
Nats have been in just about every game this season, save for the first one. So, to whatever extent that matters in this early portion, I think it's good to see that. Like, these games, for the most part, have been competitive. Most of the losses have been winnable, and the Nats get a win with what they do on Wednesday evening. As we have discussed on the show, we're offering shout-outs now on the Nats Chat podcast. If you want to wish someone who you care about a happy birthday or a congratulations or a good luck or, whatever, we will put forth a shout-out for you. Email Tim Shovers. The email address is natschatpodcast@gmail.com. We actually got a very nice email from someone who received our first shout-out, Keith. He got that over the weekend. Writes Keith, just wanted to say how touched I was by the shout out from Alan Mark that my brother sponsored. I was walking at the Washington Monument on Sunday when I heard the shout out on my iPhone. I couldn't believe it. I made everyone I know listen to it. Best birthday gift I ever got. Great idea to offer it, and I'm proud to get the first one. Keep up the good work. I'm sure the Nats will win again soon. And sure enough, they did win on Wednesday evening. But thank you for that very much, Keith. Nice to see that meant something to him. At the Washington Monument, no less, he received that shout out.
Yeah, I know we talk a lot about how cool it is to hear somebody listen to our show in, all corners of the world, including, the demilitarized zone in Korea. But we also have to remember that we've got some pretty cool places right here in town that they can listen to us. And the fact that somebody's listening to it at the Washington Monument and then hears his name mentioned on the show, I think that's pretty cool in itself.
Our guy Rich in the demilitarized zone, who gives us the most in-depth Eric Fedde updates you could ever ask for. We appreciate those updates.
Well, not anymore. Fedde's pitching back here in the big leagues and pitched well. And Joe Ross finally came back. First big league appearance in almost 3 years and pitched well for the Brewers. Good to see both those guys. And we just need to find out what happened to Austin Voth, and we'll have the big 3 back together again.
I missed those columns from you about those battles in Nats spring training. Yeah, Rich and I had a very good conversation about Fedde at our Nats Chat podcast party at Walters this past October 13th. In fact, that was a Friday the 13th. This episode brought to us by the Fred Nats, the National Single A affiliate in Northern Virginia. Their opening weekend begins this Friday night. See the future stars of the Washington Nationals right down the road in Fredericksburg. Tickets start at just $10. Buy yours now at frednats.com/tickets. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. The email address, natschatpodcast@gmail.com. We now are on YouTube. Just search Nats Chat. Our YouTube handle is at Nats Chat Podcast. We have a website that we invite you to check out, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can buy a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt, and we appreciate the support very much. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast.
Zimmerman holds Springer. Ross out of the stretch, delivers, swinging a chopping ground ball toward short. Turner has it, a flip to Kendrick, plenty of time, throw to first. It's a double play. Joe Ross gets the big pitch. Not only does he get Altuve, the toughest man in the Astros lineup in this postseason, out, he gets 2 outs with 1 pitch.